What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Ready to Love Detroit. This is episode 5. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So, we start the episode off with the guys meeting up with Tommy at Aretha Franklin house. I am so confused because why are we here? Nothing about this show says that y'all need to be at Aretha house. And then for Tommy to be like, it's because the guys and their dedication to the process, we gonna come here. For what? Also, is her house now a museum where people can just walk through? What is going on? Nonetheless, they walk through her house or whatever, and Tommy tells them that they are going to have yet another mixer. This is what, mixer number 4? Because we had the first mixer, the second group of people, they had a mixer. The skate party was a mixer. And now we are mixing and mingling yet again for this Soul Train 70s themed party. Okay? I guess. So, we get to the party. I'm thinking that we're going to get at least a few dates in. No. It was the whole episode. I'm like, okay, fine. Let's go through it. And me personally, I feel like we are leaning way too heavy on Motown and all of this Detroit stuff. Get to the real stuff. Get to the dates. Get to the things that we are here for. I don't care about Motown in this moment, but I digress. We see a conversation happen between Lauren and Christina, right? That's the first conversation that we see, at least the one I want to address. And they talk about the situation with Vince, because we all know Vince has called Christina out of her name. And now she kind of feels like they need to have a conversation, which, yes, they do, because he was dead wrong for that. At first, Lauren seemed like she didn't even want to talk to him, though. At first, she didn't seem like she wanted to have anything to do with him. However, Christina was like, well, maybe he can explain himself, whatever. And she's like, okay, fine, I will hear him out. Now, Christina, I'm going to need for you to not take people's issues to be your issues, but we're going to get there. We had different random conversations taking place. The only thing I want to talk about is the fact that Steven was talking to Ashley, and she asked him, oh, do you like animals? And he's like, yeah, I like cats. She said, oh, me too. But girl, you got a whole ass dog. You have a dog. What are we talking about right now? Ashley, baby, I think your problem is that you want to be liked so bad. But sometimes the connection just ain't there. Because the fact that you just told that man you like cats when I know you got a dog, and you could very well like both. But I just feel like your answer should have been, oh, you like cats? Damn, because, I got a dog. Something like that. Moving on. We also see Nicole talk to Ed. And she was like, yeah, if somebody asked me to describe you, I would just say you're fine as hell. And his response was like, oh, okay. I thought you would say something like, I'm a nice person. Nicole, I need you to get out of the high school bag. Get out of this college bag that you are in when it comes to this man. Because your energy is very different when you are with Devon, okay? And I need for you to stop going back to the college days and grow up a little bit. You are no longer in college. Please stop. Moving on, we see Donna and Vince. They over there connected because, she gets his jokes. She thinks that he's funny. They talk about possibly going on a little gym date together because she says that she's not consistent in the gym. And he's like, you can definitely join me there. And I'm just like, okay, I can actually see these two being a couple. Let me tell y'all why. Because they have similar personalities. Oh my God. The way they talk, the way they approach confrontation, very similar. But we're going to talk about that a little later. Tommy, he shows up looking like a Commodore. Okay? I said, oh, this was the hair? Okay. But it was totally in the theme. And he tells the ladies that, listen, one of y'all are going to go home. Now, of course, this makes Donna nervous because she only got one connection, and that's Vince. And I'm like, girl, you better make some shake because you could be on the chopping block. However, it's definitely somebody who needs to go home before Donna. And that person is Christina. Y'all, why do we see her having a conversation with Bello? I said, girl, I thought you were done with him. And Bello, I thought your ass should have been done with her, because she literally told you how she did the whole massage thing and how she wanted a man to take care of her and all of that. And you seemed like you were not here for her. Baby, the conversations would have stopped. And she says that, every man that she has been with has, like, proposed to her and wanted to marry her. But, she doesn't do liars and she doesn't do cheaters. Y'all, here's the thing. You can absolutely feel that way. But when Christina approaches these men, I'm just kind of like, girl, the energy that you think is given, it's not. Because you are giving a list of demands. Okay? And to me, it's all in the way you say things. But I feel like she says it in very much like I know I'm in my bag right now. Like, can't nobody tell me nothing. I'm Christina, a.k.a. Ina. And this is what I deserve. This is what I demand. And that's cool. Women do deserve a lot of things. But the way she approaches them is crazy to me. And the way on this episode she ran around to everybody who would listen about how she had 3 men do this whole massage thing is, oh my God, it's wild to me. But moving on, we got to get to this apology between Vince and Lauren. Okay, so he does approach her and he apologizes. He says that, I wanted to do this publicly. I didn't want to apologize over text or anything. It should be face to face. And I'll say this. Did he seem sincere? Yes. However, I think it was interesting that he never mentioned or explained the context of what he said. Like, he knows that he was wrong for calling her a bitch, but I'm just confused because in the same breath while you're apologizing, you're saying that y'all have never had a bad interaction. Y'all have never had anything happen to where there was some type of confusion. Y'all were good. So now I'm just like, well, in what context for real, like, did you say that she was a bitch? And here's my thing, because I feel like as a society, we have gotten very comfortable with just using that word and it doesn't matter. Like, I feel like women, they call each other bitches. Hell, sometimes I even do it. I'm like, I gotta stop that. Like, I gotta stop myself. But I'm just confused as to what context did he even use this word. Okay? Because it sounds like you weren't even saying anything malicious about her when you use the word, if that makes sense, y'all. Like, it sound like, this bitch I thought I was gonna call her today. No, I'm about to call her right now. Like, it was giving that type of energy. But also, I just want to know, how did this spread? And who was he talking to? Like, did you tell the other guys a story of you talking to Lauren or something? And then they were pillow talking and told somebody else? I'm just confused. But nonetheless, she accepts the apology. She appreciates it. And I do appreciate the fact that he told her, like, you know what? You can go ahead and sit with that apology. Like, you don't have to accept it right now. Which I respect, because a lot of times people just say an apology, want it to be over so bad, so they want you to accept it in that moment. So they end up hugging it out and we get to move on. We think that we're done with that situation, but not exactly. We see Dominique and Cardi there flirting or whatever, and then we see Ashanti and Darius. Y'all, I don't like Darius. I may have the same feelings as Donna when it comes to Darius. Y'all, according to them, they have been talking on the phone. Like, they talk on the phone all the time. However, they have not gone on a date yet. So I guess we get to see Ashanti, she has another interest outside of Steven, right? I said, okay, cool. However, after this conversation, girl, stick with Steven. Because every time Darius opens up his damn mouth, I feel like he pimping. Like, he's doing this, like, slick pimp talk. I'm like, nigga, is you Darius or Pimp C? I don't understand what's going on. Like, are you really trying to get to know these women, or are you trying to put them on a corner? I don't understand. Y'all, maybe it's a Detroit thing. I don't know. But here we go with him having this conversation with Ashante, right? And basically, she's trying to talk to him. And she's like thrown off because she's like, wait, what are you looking at or whatever? And he's like, yeah, I'm looking at you, because I used to be a photographer. She said, oh, really? How long you been doing that? That man said when he was like 13 or 14. Not he's been doing it for 13 or 14 years. He said he was a photographer when he was like 13 or 14. I said, sir, what? Then he goes on to say, yeah, but I'm 40 now. I said, okay. All right. So then she's again trying to talk to him. I don't even know what the hell she was saying, because he then gets distracted yet again. And he's like staring at her chest. And let's be honest, like, she don't even have like a big chest. And like, no offense, but the outfit that she had on, it wasn't even like she was revealing too much. Like, okay, I understand if this was Emily, because y'all know Emily used to have like her boobs to the ceiling. And it's like, girl, that's all you can see. If this was her, yes. But in this situation, I said, Ashante, to me, this is letting you know he is not really interested in what you're talking about. Move on, sweetheart. Because he's told, no, I'm just staring at your necklaces. I'm staring at your necklaces. No, you're not, okay? I just don't. Y'all know I don't like Darius. I felt his little story last time was moving about his mama in that dress. But baby, the bus stops there. So then we get this conversation between Chris and Christina. And even though he did not give her the money, she's still keeping him around. And I'm just surprised by that. Because she kept explaining that, he gave her a solid answer saying that he don't got it right now. And I'm just like, well, wouldn't that kind of make you think that he was broke and you the type of woman that's going for a man with money? I'm confused as to why you're keeping him around, because the way you're treating these men is crazy. Maybe because you like the way he smells. Because, baby, let me tell y'all something. One thing about Christina, she like a motherfucking bloodhound. And she is sniffing around for Chris. I don't know what that man sprays on himself, but he got to smell real good. Or at least he just smelled good to her, because she be on that nigga neck. Just sniffing around like, oh my God, you just smell so good. You smell so good. I'm just like, okay. Are you just keeping him around because he smell good? Because he seems like, no offense, but just like a regular guy. Versus somebody like a Bello who seems like he has a lot of money, right? And I don't know, y'all. When it comes to Chris, I just feel like they would never be a thing because he don't make enough money for her. And he's not going to take care of her in the way that she wants to be taken care of, because she thinks that she deserves somebody that's like a fucking billionaire or a millionaire at least. Or am I tripping? Nonetheless, he's asking her, what kind of happened in her previous relationships or whatever. And she goes on to say that she had to leave relationships because she felt like her needs were not being met and how the men weren't meeting her expectations. Again, I'm just like, I'm confused, because when it comes to Chris, it seems like he probably won't be meeting your expectations because he's not going to be spending money on you like that. But girl, whatever. So I just feel like she want to be taken care of, and she don't want to put in no effort into the relationship. Okay? So she swears that she has her own little vetting process. And Chris is like, okay, but how you gonna do that? And we only got 6 weeks to do this process. So this is what she decides to tell on her fucking self. And she's like, oh, well, I asked 3 different guys about this massage. I'm just looking at this screen, y'all, and I'm like, this girl is crazy. You sound absolutely diabolical right now, telling a man that you are interested in how you asked 2 other men for money for a massage. He didn't even know anything about it. He did not know that she was out here asking these other guys for money. And I'm just like, that should tell you everything that you need to know about Christina. Christina, go home, please. I'm tired. Go home. So next we see Dominique. She's talking to Bello, and she's like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to you today. However, his response is, yeah, well, I saw you talking to everybody else. This man was watching her like a fucking hawk. I don't like that. Because he's like, yeah, I saw you were sitting over there. You were talking to so-and-so. And then you went over there. You were talking to this and that person. I said, oh, so you were just watching her like a hawk? What's all that energy? Like, that's giving controlling, low-key. Like, what's going on, Bello? That you were keeping an eye on her the whole night, but you never approached her? That's some weirdo behavior, okay? So he ends up asking her what she's passionate about, and, you know, she has a store that she wants to open. I think she said it's called Flight Closet or whatever, and he's like, oh, well, you know, I do real estate. You know, maybe I can, like, help you find the location for your business. Now, of course, she is even more smitten by him because he wants to help her out, but I gotta be honest, girl, find somebody else to do it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you barely know him. Barely know him. Yes, y'all have kissed. Yes, y'all have gone on a few dates. But hold on a little bit. Let's slow it down. Don't get him too involved in what you got going on, okay? And y'all, next week we find out that man has a whole child that's like 1 year old. Does Dominique know that? I'm just curious if she knows this. But let's go ahead and move on. They do a little Soul Train line. All right, cool. Then we see Devon and Shannon. They talk. Y'all, I feel like this is the real Devon. Okay? This is the real version of him. And I need for him to get away from Dominique. Because it's never going to happen. I do not see Dominique ever giving Devon any type of play. Or Devon, sorry. I don't see her giving Devon any type of play. So he can go ahead and let that go. They're talking about going to a Pilates class. So Shannon's like, yeah, you know, I do Pilates or whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, I can join you for a class. And she's like, oh, really? Because, you know, most men, they wouldn't want to do a Pilates class because, you know, that's like a class for women. And he's like, listen, I am very comfortable with who I am as well as in my sexuality. And I'm not worried about that. I said, okay, Devon, I see you. Shout out to you, who's willing to not be put in a box. And they basically talk about how they're on the phone all the time. And y'all, I just feel like this is Devon's true self. But the person that he probably always wanted to be was the guy he is when he talks to Dominique. Because he be pouring it on so thick with her. And I'm just like, dude, you're doing too much. But when he's with Shannon or when he's with Nicole, he not doing none of that. But let's go ahead and move on. There's a bunch of other little small talk happening. And then we see Christina have this conversation with Vince. So she confronts him about the Lauren situation. And he's like, okay, I've apologized. And he actually kind of calls her out. Because he feels like if you had an issue with me, then you should have come to me instead of, you know, I guess going to the ladies and making it such a big deal. That's what I thought he was saying. But no, I guess when they all walked in and said their hellos to each other, she literally said hello to everybody but him. So that kind of makes it seem like there's tension between Christina and Vince, but really the issue is with Lauren and Vince. But I get it. She trying to have a united front with her homegirl, right? My question is, who was pillow talking to tell Christina, of all people, what happened? Do y'all think it was Devon, or do y'all think it was Chris? I don't think it was Bella who did the pillow talking to Christina. I think it was either Chris or Devon who told Christina what happened. Because she's the only person who had this story, and I feel like she's the one who kind of told everybody else. So he feels like it's unfair for her to make this type of judgment on him. And y'all, this is where things took a turn for me. Because for some reason, we had this girl, Christina, talk about how she's not going to treat every man the same, especially if she's not interested in them. Which I completely understand. I do feel like a lot of times, if you like a man, you're going to treat him a lot better than a man that you don't like, okay? And you know what? Cool, fine. I get that, because at the end of the day, you do not want to send the wrong impression that you are interested in somebody when you really aren't, right? However, I'm going to need for her to stop telling this massage story, because it's not the flex that she think it is. And it's like, girl, you talking about something, you implied something to these men so your needs can be met. And I'm just like, only one of them sent you half the money. What are you talking about right now? But then she gonna sit up here in Vince's face talking about, yeah, because, they made sure that my needs were met. Who did? Chris couldn't afford your ass. Devon, he sent you half the money, not the whole thing. And then, Bello ignored your ass. It was like, oh shit, I forgot, I didn't even see this. So what are you talking about right now? I'm confused. And like, even Vince was like, wait, you talking about the spa thing? And like, she's doing all of this. I mean, I was so confused, because like, she was extremely animated in this entire scene, right? But at one point, she like low-key like rubbing on her body, saying how if you got the right connections, then I want to lick your neck in 2 days or something like that. I said, girl, what? What are we talking about? In his confessional, Vince is like, we all know that she only here for one thing, and I don't think this is really for her, which I agree. This ain't the show for her at all. But she goes on to talk about how, her parents have been married for 39 years, and if a man ain't taking care of her the way her daddy take care of her mama, then she don't want it. I said, girl, please. You're doing so much right now, and you sound crazy as hell. Like, what was all of that? Christina, go home, please. Christina, go home. Christina, go home. Did I forget to mention? Christina, go the fuck home. Child, by the end of the scene, Vince done ran away from the girl. So, moving on, we see Darius, and he's talking to Ashanti yet again. Or Ashante yet again. And he was talking about how he used to be celibate for a minute, and he was doing some type of, semen retention. Is that stuff that they was talking about on that men's podcast back like a couple of years ago? I mean, I guess. Here's the thing. We have Ashley, who's peeping the scene, and she sees Darius talking to this other girl. So now she trying to see, like, where does she stand with Darius? And I'm just like, girl, you could do better too. I'm not understanding what's going on. We're going to get to you in a minute, because we see Nicole and Chris have a conversation, and he's questioning, if he's even going to find his person in this process. She's concerned because she's like, she may go home because the ladies are on the chopping block. But he says that, he really likes her, and he thinks that she's smart and she's beautiful. And I'm just like, yeah, Chris, go in this direction. I think Nicole may be more your speed than Christina. Now, y'all, we get to Darius and Ashley. They have a conversation. And again, the fucking pimp talk, it gets on my nerves. But according to him, they be on the phone for 4 hours. Ashley, you mean to tell me you sit through 4 hours of hearing him talk like that? Girl, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And here's the thing. He wants to learn a little bit more about her, right? And she talks about how, sometimes she has a wall up or whatever. But he's like, I'm going to come through with the sledgehammer, and I'm going to knock those walls down. So, again, Ashley wants to know where she stands with him. I said, Ashley, didn't you just do this with Ed? Didn't she go on a date with Ed and she was trying to figure out where she stands with this man? You want to be liked so bad. You want to be chosen so bad. And Ashley, you are a beautiful girl. I need for you to act like it. Okay? You're intelligent. You can do better. Okay? Like, I'm not understanding what is going on with you. I just kind of feel like you have to build up your self-esteem just a little bit more, sis. Because the way you keep asking these men what they feel about you, I'm not sure if you're going to get the answer that you really want. Okay? Because at the end of the day, they're in a process, and they're going to continue to date multiple ladies. Okay? But according to him, they locked in. But when we get to the lounge, this nigga singing in a whole different tone, but we gonna get there a little bit later. We see Donna. She has this conversation with Ed because now she feeling away because she's like, after the date that we had, it seemed like he must have went back and told the guys that she don't believe in God and that she's an atheist, right? But here's the problem. Donna, that man lets you know that he's Christian off the top. You said when it came to religion, none of your family is Christian. You're more spiritual and you want the kids to explore every other religion. Yeah, I think that that's not going to align with what he got going on, okay? And here's the thing. According to her, there needs to be some type of clarification, but she's like, okay, this one thing I will say. She never said that she was atheist. She never said that. They rolled the tape back, right? However, I need for people to stop saying that they are spiritual. I think that is where the issue comes in. Because the people who are saying, oh yeah, I'm spiritual. What exactly does that entail? Do you actually have a relationship with God? Do you believe in something else? What's going on there? Because honestly, if somebody was to tell me at this point that they're spiritual, I feel like they may low-key be doing hoodoo. That's not funny. But I just feel like you may have a little witchery going on. I don't know. I don't know what you got going on. Because spiritual in what way? Like, I feel like people to stop just using that as like a blanket statement to be like, yeah, I'm spiritual. Okay, but what does that mean? Like, you're letting anybody else interpret it however they want to, and that is where all the confusion is happening. Also, Donna, you're mad because the other guys don't really see it for you, but here's the thing. If they're Christian, like Holy Roller Sanctified, I mean, I don't think they're Holy Rollers, but I just kind of feel like you just may not align with them, and that's okay. So he kind of responds to her saying that, I think you're still like figuring it out. And she's like, no, I'm not figuring anything out. I know who I am. I'm not on this journey or whatever when it comes to religion. I said, okay, so she is standing on what she believes in. Okay, cool. And he's like, okay, so you believe in God, but you believe in like a deity. And I said, okay, see, this is where things are going left. Donna, if you believe in God, but you also believe in a deity, which is absolutely fine. You can believe in whatever that you want to believe in. Again, that may not align with his Christian faith. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to be mean about people having different religions. You absolutely can. But I just kind of feel like if he wants a certain thing, he wants a woman that believes in God and is believing in Jesus, and you're not that girl, baby, you're just not that girl. And that's okay. He's looking for a Christian woman. And a couple of these other guys may have the same background. This is Detroit, okay? But yeah, I just feel like the connection is not there. So we see random conversations happening. Also, Nicole, she was talking to Ed, talking about how she wants to do a Zoom date if they are not set up on a date by the show. Girl, you are so thirsty for this man. Please stop. Like, you do not have to be that thirsty. So Tommy, he ends up coming back in to talk to the guys, and let's talk about who they are feeling. Just real quick, because of course Steven is feeling Ashante. I'm not even about to go through everybody. It's just one person I need to talk about real quick, and that's Darius. When they asked Darius, who are you feeling right now? That man said, Ashante. I said, okay, I saw you talk to her twice in one night. I get that. Then he says, and Damo. I'm sorry, who? As in Dominique. Nigga, you've never talked to her. We have never seen them have a conversation. You just told Ashley that y'all are locked in. What the fuck is going on? I'm so confused by that. I'm like, again, playing in Ashley's face. Ashley, move on, find somebody else. Y'all, I don't care about the rest of that. However, let's talk about who they are not feeling. Of course, Christina. I'm telling you, her in that massage situation, it has rubbed everybody the wrong way. Okay? Now, Darius, he's not feeling Donna because of the prejudgment and how she never corrected it. Here's the thing. In that situation, y'all, I personally felt like, Donna, you in your confession said that you saw a different side of him. Therefore, when you were on that date, after you heard that story about his mama making that dress and how that's what connected him to fashion, you should have apologized and said, you know what, I read the situation wrong. But she never did that, and I'm giving her a side eye for that. Well, don't worry, because there's a couple other guys who are not feeling her at all. So, here's the thing, though. Vince, he kind of feels the type of way because, he does have a connection with Donna. And he's like, because they were like, oh, she doesn't really talk to anybody. However, Vince is like, when she talks to me, we talk for hours. They on the phone all the time. So it's giving she's only talking to people who are actually showing her interest. Right? Okay, that's understandable. Who do I think is going home because we left on a cliffhanger? It got to be Christina. It has to be Christina. There is no way y'all gonna tell me that you gonna send Donna home over Christina in those massages. Okay? But y'all, that was the episode. Let me know what y'all thought about Ready to Love. How are y'all feeling about all these mixers? Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.